Now that these two layers are done, we're going to select both of them. Remember, you hold down your Shift key so you can select more than one, and we're going to merge the shadows and the midtones together to form one. Then we're going to create a new layer, and actually two new layers. One of them we're going to fill with white, and then the top layer is where we are going to start using our brush with the new brushes we've made. So we're just going to use black, and if you scroll down, you should find your 4 brushes. So I'll start with one, and we want to, before we start brushing, we want to go to our brush panel. On brush tip shape, you're going to have to adjust your size, and you're going to have to adjust your spacing so that you can see space between each of the names. Then check Shape Dynamics and go here. You're going to want to increase your size jitter so that they're not all going the same direction. You can increase your minimum diameter and your angle. Roundness and minimum roundness is fine too. And then simply start brushing, and you should have various sizes and shapes, and you can click one at a time, or you can brush along. Okay, and remember that you have 4 here to choose from, so don't feel like you have to cover the whole canvas all at once. When you go choose the next brush, you are again going to have to adjust things in your brush panel. Okay, don't assume that they will stay the same. They won't. And again, you're going to try to fill them in. And you don't have to fill in every spot because we have 2 more brushes. Okay, and I will keep working my 4 brushes through this layer. And where you see blanks and you see that this one hasn't been there, fill it in. All right, and then I'm on my last one. And I'll fill a few of these in as well. Okay, so I'm going to hide my top 2 layers for a minute, and I'm going to select the layer that has my black and gray. I'm going to Command A to select all, and then I'm going to Command C to copy. Then I'm going to turn those 2 layers back on. Now, on the top layer where all the text is, I'm going to apply a layer mask. That's down here at the bottom of your layers panel. I'm going to click on it. And what I want to do is I want to actually paste inside this layer mask. So in order for me to do that, I have to hold down my Option key and click on the layer mask thumbnail, and then I'm going to Command V to paste. I'm going to deselect, Command D, and then I need to invert that selection, which is Command I. And that actually makes it look like a negative of a photograph. Now we want to actually activate the painted layer, or the painted text layer, not the mask. So if we go back and just click on that layer, it's going to show that to us, and we see the text through there. Now you can see that really the only thing that it has where the text is where the black for the shadows and the gray for the midtones were. Okay, so at this point, if you feel like you need to apply more text, we could come in with our brush. We'd have to go to our brush panel again to adjust spacing and shape dynamics, but we could come in here and fill in some of these gaps. And remember that we have 4 different brushes, so we would want to utilize all of them, not just one. Okay, and then that's going to help us fill things in a little bit better. Whoops, and shape dynamics. And might have to reduce the size of some. Okay, so that's giving us a different view already. Okay, now what we can do is we can add another layer. And let's say instead of it just being in him, maybe we have a couple of names sprouting from his head or from his ears, okay? Or maybe just a couple sitting randomly around him. And we can double click actually on, I don't want to do that one first, I want to do this one first. Double click on this layer. We're going to add a gradient overlay. And right here we have gradients, and there are some different ones to choose from. And of course there are extra extra ones that you can append. Okay, so if you don't like the colors that are listed there, you can choose more. You can adjust the angle at which they come in, whether it's radial, angled, reflected. I kind of like that one reflected. Okay, and change the angle on it. And when you get the gradient the way you like it, you can click OK. Now, we want to apply that same gradient to the random text that we have on this layer. Instead of double clicking though, if I hold down my Option key and click over here where it says FX, I can Option click and drag, and it's going to copy the effects, the gradient overlay effect that I did here, and copy it onto this layer, which is pretty cool. All right, so we're not done yet. We're going to add one more layer, and I'm going to turn those 2 off for now, so all we see is the white. On this new layer, we're going to create a text box that fills the entire page. And we're going to go to blindtextgenerator.com. I chose Far, Far Away. You can choose any one of these. It doesn't really matter. But I chose 800 words, and I'm going to select all and copy to the clipboard. Then I can come back here into Photoshop, and I can get my type tool, and I can make a text box from the very top to the very bottom and paste. Now, whatever type or whatever font you had selected earlier, that's what's there now. So we might need to change that. So I'm going to select all. I'm okay with the Futura font, but I'm going to choose medium. I'm going to increase my font size, I'm going to say to 30. And then I'm going to go to my character panel, and I'm going to increase my leading or my line spacing to 40, just so that you can see a little bit of text or a little bit of space in between. Okay? All right, so I'm going to add a layer mask to this layer. And before I do anything to that layer mask, I'm going to need to go back to my shadows layer, Command A to select all, Command C to copy. Then I can turn on the background layer and this new text layer. I'm going to option click on the layer mask thumbnail, and I'm going to paste. Command V. I'm going to deselect with a Command D, and I am going to Command I to inverse. Oops, I did it twice. Command I to inverse. Now, if I go back to the text layer, it's showing me the text through there. Okay? And what's kind of neat is if I drag that layer below, now I get just regular text going across, as well as my gradient overlay by using my brush. And now I can save this as 1 underscore last name underscore picture worth 1,000 words. I want you to realize that you have the option when you save it as a JPEG, you could actually bring your shadows layer up. Okay, there's different things you can do there. But what I would do first is I would do a JPEG of just the gradient. Okay, and so that's where I would do gradient as a JPEG. And then I can hide those two layers and do just text and make it a JPEG. And then I can turn all 3 of those layers on and a JPEG, because it's both, I'm just leaving it at the normal. And then when I look at those, file, open, let me find my JPEGs real quick. I'm not actually positive where I saved those, to be quite truthful. There we go. There's my 3 JPEGs. So there's the full one. There's just the text. And there is just the one with the brushes and the gradient overlay.